Order. Val, can you be quiet? Donnie Chestnut is on the phone, by the way. She's listening in. She's not feeling well, so she's not joining us, but she does want to listen in and perhaps speak up at some point. Could we do roll call, please?
For the November 15th board meeting. Bob Pilato,
Here.
Joe Caldessari,
Here.
Donnie Chestnut, Jane Condon,
There. Here. Jane.
Tom Osterberger,
Here.
Jeff Pearson,
Here.
Kathy Trisman,
Here.
Pat Mudrin,
Here.
Okay, approval of minutes, item 75, 2017. Should have all had a chance to review them at this point. Any comments or discussion before I ask for approval? Anyone? No? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public to be heard regarding agenda items. Anyone? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Mr. Silverman has a obligation, I guess, at 5 o'clock tonight. So if it's the board's pleasure, I'd like to suggest we move the executive session to discuss a lease extension.
Make that motion.
Right now, within the agenda, move that up here. So we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session then for, I don't think it'd be a long period of time, but just to discuss a lease extension.
So we have a motion to go into executive session.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Need a vote on it.
We need a motion to reopen the meeting.
Can we close executive session? Should be good. Yeah. We're good. We're good.
We're good? Okay. So we discussed a one-year extension on Suite 600 and talked about a slight increase in the rate. And I think we're all in agreement that we want to go ahead and approve this, so I look for a motion.
Motion approved.
In a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
who was the first?
Joe.
Joe?
Yeah.
And
I
Jeff was
seconded.
second.
Jane Condon,
Aye.
Tom Osterberger,
Aye.
Jeff Pearson,
Aye.
Kathy Trisman, Joe Caldessari,
Aye.
Bob Pilato.
Aye. Okay, next up, financial reports, 076, 2017. Should have the packet, and you should have had an opportunity to review them. As I mentioned to Val earlier today, one of the things that jumped out on me when I looked at this is there was no capital type items or repair items, and she was quick to respond, that's because she hasn't signed them. Other than that, it looked pretty straightforward to me. A lot of artist payments in here.
I just had a couple educational questions for myself. There's a sound systems. Do we rent sound systems for the people that come in?
Sometimes, and we have been able to, GAN Concert Sound is the sound provider that we've used for a very long time here. And at the end of the season, which is the summer, they bring the sound system and they hang it here. So we only have to pay for the stagehands to load it in once and load it out once. So it's kind of a win-win as we store it here and then pay when we use it. And we kind of get a discount because they're not having to lug it back and forth and we're not having to pay for the stagehands to load it in and out every time.
Okay, good. Because I actually wondered if each artist had their own sound system that you had to rent from them or something. So this is a little better.
Sometimes they travel with their own stuff, but pretty much it's, you know, this or whatever we have, our house system.
Good to know. And then I just had one other type of question like that. Supply Works of Jacksonville, would this be a Venue Works supplier? And that's
Supply Works is right
Supply
down.
Works is, we're part of what's called a red zone, which is a bulk buying kind of entity, which Supply Works is a member. And so we buy custodial supplies that way, as well as some bars.
Okay, thank you. And I guess there was one other, is, what is Red Pass Plus, Granger? You've got something, Granger and Elsa.
That's the Red Plus program that we talked just about with the bulk buying.
Oh, that's,
So this is their membership fee with this overall companies and things. There's other vendors like elevator service companies. I don't necessarily remember specific names at the time, but then there's hardware and a lot of other things too.
great, thanks, Dale.
Any other questions or comments for Dale? Dale, you have any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And roll call?
Jeff Pearson,
Yes.
Jane Condon,
Aye.
Joe Carlosari,
Aye.
Tom Osterberger,
Aye.
Kathy Trisner. Aye. Bob Pilato.
Aye. Okay, next up is old business, dedicated funding sources. Once again, just reiterating that each of us in our own way are pursuing opportunities for funding, for grants. I know that groups continue to meet, and it's a torturous process, I should say, with a lot of patience required. But a lot of people are working towards that. I don't want to speak for the board, but I certainly hear a lot of good things about the theater out in the streets, so to speak. Far majority of people who have talked to me about the Rialto say very positive things. So just keep up the good work and keep up the battle.
And I thought it was great. We've only got one more council person's meeting coming up.
Two
council
it's a
people.
twofer.
But it sounds as though those have been very productive and the
Yeah,
council people were,
Most of us have had an opportunity to do that,
Mhm.
and I think it's been pretty rewarding. It was a great idea, Pat, that you had to do that. For the far majority of people that we've talked to, it's been a very positive experience. And as I have run into, and I'm sure as you run into council people around town, they're pleasantly surprised with the volume of activity that's gone on here. There's a document in here, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, but yeah, it looked at the various types of events through the various months up to, or for this calendar year, I should say. And, you know, as we progress from January through December, you can see the volume move up as well. And so that's been a great document, and I think it's been a good experience for us. So, one thing we have not done, Pat, and maybe you can think about this, is should we be meeting with either Marty Shanahan and or the mayor in this whole process? I don't want them to think we're not giving them the attention they deserve.
I think you should call and set
I
it up.
don't know if it can hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, your story is a good one. It's come a long way, and everybody needs to know it, and those two are part of needing to know.
So from a timing standpoint, when will the council begin their discussions, or their preliminary discussions?
Tuesday,
Oh, Tuesday.
we're supposed to be getting the budget at the next, whether we get it on Monday with the work session,
council, yeah.
but if it's done, we're supposed to get it at the second meeting of November, with some hope to have it approved by the first meetings in December. Could go fast, because it did
We'll
last
get
year.
where do you call. We gotta talk to them about that other issue too. So, any other comments on this particular item before we move on? Second item is the authorization of Jeff that we discussed last month. And since then, David has given this further thought.
So what I did was I went back and took a look at the statute and took a look at the Venue Works agreement. And the statute does allow that the the authority's general manager has the authority to enter into agreements of this nature, like the leases that we talked about. So when we negotiated the agreement with VenueWorks, the past board, the board at that time, had decided to keep that authority to negotiate the leases to itself, and VenueWorks agreed, not to be responsible for the actual execution or authorization of the leases. So I came up with the idea that it could work, if you wanted to streamline the process somewhat, you could authorize VenueWorks to enter into those leases on behalf of the board, and that would be permitted by statute. We talked to Val, and I think Val talked to others at VenueWorks, and they are amenable to do that. So it would just take a pretty simple amendment to the VenueWorks agreement, if you'd care to authorize them to do that, to execute the leases. Now, you could do that in their unbridled discretion, I suppose, or if you had certain parameters that you wanted to lay down for them, or say that they, before executing a lease, they consult with, this person or this group or whatever, you could do that also. So I think that's probably a solution around the problem. I talked to Josh from Oliveri, and he thought that would, definitely work from his perspective as it works for you.
So that I understand this, David, so you're saying that this board would not need to ratify the lease at a later date?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. It's just I think under the statute, there's a pretty broad grant of authority to the general manager, and I think it's broad enough to certainly encompass these things.
I think we have some discussion about that approach, whether that's amenable. And the other thing to think about here is that even if we take this step, Jeff could still serve as a liaison, if you will, just like I guess Jane does to the foundation, and could be in the process and still report back to the board if he so chooses, or if we ask him about a certain lease. But I do think it streamlines the process considerably, and I just probably need to be quiet and let everyone else talk about this.
I think the solution really justifies what we're trying to do in streamlining the approach, as Bob had mentioned, so that business can be conducted between meetings when we need to do it, and when the opportunity is there, we can act on it. I would vote in favor of that.
And the important thing, I think it'd be great to streamline it, to be able to get these leases approved, but just so we continue to have all the information of what rental rates are going to be, and are apprised of that in a timely fashion, so that we all know what's taking place, I guess.
You're talking about before the lease or
Well,
after the lease, or?
I
mean, there's nothing that says you couldn't, that the
Right.
board members couldn't individually be given copies of it beforehand,
Well,
as a
once
You know,
for
but
your
it- but it-
information,
But it's,
and raise up the red flag if you have a problem, but.
right. And, if you think about it, we have given VenueWorks a lot of authority, I mean, they're entering into contracts every day,
Mhm.
really, on behalf of the Rialto.
So who would be tasked with this? Is it going to be another responsibility that Val has to take on, or is there somebody else?
No,
that
I think what would happen is that the Oliveri group would continue to negotiate the leases, and then VenueWorks would be authorized to execute it on behalf of the authority. That's the solution I came up with, nothing magic in it, but that's the
It
best
makes a
one
lot
I
of
could come up
sense. I
with.
think do we want to qualify? In other words, if we have to do any capital improvements of beyond a certain amount, or if that lease goes beyond a certain years, do we want to have to approve it? Other than that, I think it works perfectly.
I think if there's special circumstances, it would come to the board.
Hey, where is this in the statute?
Yes.
What section?
There's two statutes, Joe, that
Okay, so
actually address the exhibition authorities.
Okay,
Do you have both of them there?
I do.
There's an authority for the general manager section.
Okay, it's in the,
I can't remember if it's in the general statute or the specific Will County one, to be honest with you.
okay.
But I'm pretty confident it's there, and obviously look at it. If I'm overstating what's there, let's talk about it, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
Is the board comfortable moving forward under this process.
Well, I kind of like Tom's thought of kind of, just bring off what he is saying, that maybe within parameters, that if it's, X dollars of build out, that.
Can't we ask Jeff to be concerned with that?
Well, I agree, except for puts them in a tough spot if somebody second guesses it because it's a $75,000 build out.
What do you suggest the parameters to be? Do we have any ideas?
I mean, I don't want to go another month here and goof around with this.
I can't vote on this today. I mean,
Well, no,
I
we
thought
have
about
to.
this 5 minutes
No,
ago, so I'm not
and
gonna-
we would have to come up with, we'd have to do an amendment to the venue works agreement for the next agenda.
Right, so I
Yeah.
don't think we can take any action on this today.
No, we're just trying to, trying to
Yeah.
get some general direction. If it's not worth pursuing, we'll set that aside and see if we can figure out something else.
No,
If it is
I
worth
think
Yeah, I
pursuing,
think, I would think that next time we could approve it, try to approve an addendum by next time. And I would suggest that a capital improvement beyond $40,000 would require board approval. And I'm just picking a number, but
I think
Well, I would ask Oliveri for their recommendation of what that
That's
number
fine.
should be.
maybe it's a per square foot too.
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
if
yeah,
you
it makes
think
more
about
They
it,
may
right.
have an idea.
Yeah.
See if there's some sort of an industry standard, instead of us just arbitrarily coming up with a.
And it's not that I don't trust you, Jeff. My point is, I don't want you to wonder. If there's a number, boom, you don't have an issue.
I
it's a
understand.
very strong concept, and if we explore and get it all hashed out before the next meeting, we should be able to finalize it then in the December meeting.
Well, why don't we do this? I mean, if anybody has thoughts, why don't you drop me a note, or Bob, or Val, and we'll try to collect all those thoughts, kind of like we did the last time through the negotiations with Venue Works, and we'll try to come up with a solution for you for the next meeting.
Thank you for looking into that, that's great.
So Jeff, Dave, if we did, we would also have a companion amendment to VenueWorks contract.
Right,
Add that.
yeah.
Yeah, that way
I
we
think
don't have
it'll
another
I think
delay.
it'll all be in one document.
Good.
We'll have to make sure they're okay with everything, but I think they're okay with the concept. So, for example, it would say that Venue Works is authorized to execute leases on behalf of the authority which don't exceed 5 years. And I'm, again, pull a number out of the air, and where the build-out cost does not exceed,
So per square foot, you're right, a square foot, yeah. Okay, good.
Okay,
It's similar to what the city council in Chicago does with settlements. Anything above
Right.
a certain threshold,
Yeah.
then it has to be brought before the whole city
Right.
council. But they approve routinely $5,000, $20,000, $50,000 settlements without any vote by the city council, just for streamlining sake. And they outline a similar contract, and they have it in their code. So,
okay, any further discussion on this one before we move on? Okay, thanks, David.
You're welcome.
Next up is the 2018 meeting schedule, 077-2017, and that's in your packet. And we need to formally approve this?
Yes.
Okay.
make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay. Executive reports, foundation report, Jay?
So the foundation meets every other month, thank you, Bob. And all cylinders are going to have a great holiday season. But a couple of items in particular that I wanted to address today is this wonderful, beautiful flyer that I hope will be representative of our gathering this coming Monday from 5:30 to 9 o'clock at night with ceremonial lighting of the marquee as well as the Christmas tree that's being sponsored by WC, and of course we have our headline sponsor, Commonwealth Edison, as well as there's going to be holiday music, cocktails, and dining stations. This is a wonderful fundraiser that the foundation is putting on, and they got several sponsorships to try to cover the cost to put this on, so all the tickets that can be sold really hopefully will drop down to the bottom line as far as profit for an event like this. So I would just encourage everyone to try and come to this event, encourage others. Sounds like it's going to be a wonderful evening. There's many other shows, the Teddy Bear Tea, and I'll let Jack in a minute talk about that. But there's one other show that's going to be here that I in particular want to promote, is this, The Colors of Christmas. And the headlining stars are going to be Rupert Studdard, Jody Watley, Marilyn McCoo, and Billy Davis Jr., as well as Peeble Bryson. Peeble Bryson was on WJOL yesterday afternoon, did a great job. I guess this is a show that has existed for over 25 years or something. It's a very successful show. But I know there's several of us at this table who would be familiar with two of the people from the Fifth Dimension. So I'm just,
Who would that be, Jay?
well, there's only one or two exceptions of everybody at this table. So I just would encourage everyone to look closely at things like this and hope you can attend. It's going to be a fabulous evening of some really big stars, I feel like. So those two items in particular I wanted to encourage everyone to go to, but there is a plethora of those shows and events beginning on Monday, November 20th, and there's many flyers available to check the details of that, but I hope everyone will be participating as much as they can. Jack, fill in where you would like.
Yeah, our booklet for Hope for the Holidays, if anybody would like one, just let me know. We have plenty of those that outline not only each event throughout the next 4 weeks, but the sponsors we have and the support we've gotten. We've not been downstairs and seen the theater. We decorated, I'm probably stepping on
You
some
are,
of Val's information here.
I'm not gonna be last anymore.
We decorated the theater last Sunday and for Monday's show, which was Brian Sefzer, which went very well, didn't it? Yeah. But I encourage you to go downstairs and take a look at the theater whenever you're in the area, and we're open for the tours or anything else for the shows. But celebrate the season, as Jane said. Next Monday evening is going to be a wonderful event. Ticket sales are going well. We're hoping to be somewhere 225, 250 or more people. Teddy Bear Tea is selling very well. We've increased the seating capacity to 220 per seating, so 440 total, and we're very confident those will be sold out. And the other holiday luncheon we have here on December 6th, I believe it's a Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, where we have the St. Ray's Children's Choir singing and the organ, of course, an organ concert with a lunch, very affordable at $15. Tickets for that stuff are going very well. So any questions, give me an email, give me a call, and hope to see you at those events.
Well,
Okay, so our shows presented since last we met were World of Dance, 834 tickets, Yanni 1855, Dr. Kaboom, we combined the two kids shows to one and we had 1251, Who's Live, which was a co-pro at 1551, Junie B. Jones, which is a kids show rental at 609, and I forgot Brian Setzer, it was about 1400-ish. We had the Chamber Gala, which was a rental. We did a weekly tour, and we announced Buddy Guy and Classic Albums Live, which will be featuring the music of the Eagles and the Hotel California album in its entirety. We've been working towards the holiday season since before our big announce and reveal on August 4th, and it's finally here. We spent all day Sunday, December 12th, decorating the Esplanade, Rotunda, and Proms with holiday decorations galore. We have trees, wreaths, one less wreath because someone bought one, trains, garland, glitter, and gold for thousands of visitors we expect to visit us during the next month. I compiled a 2017 events and performance spreadsheet that totals by month the activity in the theater. As you can see, since April, we have increased activities from the 15 in Q1 to a year-end total of 145 events and performances. And Jane and Joe, you'll see I put a graph together in my, I had a little extra time at lunch today. As we are quickly approaching Q1 of the next year, which would not be indicated on the list, I can tell you we have 7 offers out specifically for this time frame, 8 offers with a mutually agreeable date, and 3 confirmed shows to be announced. And this just in, Nancy has booked her 20th wedding for 2018, tying us with the record-breaking year of 2014, and I'm confident that we'll be setting a new record before 2018 is over. So any of you people out there who want to get married, do just give Nancy a phone.
Come see
Right, Joe? Right? You highly recommend it to you?
Yes.
The Rialto Square Theater was adopted by the DePaul marketing class as their senior project. Trish Gagno, VP of Marketing at Corporate, and I met with them back in September to give them an overview of the theater and what we felt our biggest marketing challenges were. I went back last week and they did their group presentation and it was really incredible. First, let me say they are millennials and view the world a bit differently than the majority of the age group in this room, but that's exactly who we were hoping to hear from. And for anyone that's interested, I have a copy of their presentation. Sticking to my paper. If you want to take a look at it, it's very comprehensive. I think they broke into 9 different subgroups, and there were about 4 or 5 kids in each group, and they presented on what their challenge was. And a special thank you to Pat Mudrin, not only for being an incredible liaison to the city on our behalf, but for the suggestion that we meet with each council person. I believe it has been an enlightening experience for both sides as we shared our thoughts, concerns, and visions for the future, and much more. We are accepting resumes for a new marketing manager position. Job description is available on Rialto website. And last, we are participating in the National Day of Giving, which is held Tuesday, November the 28th. I provided you with a screenshot of our giving page. Specific attention was paid to the giving amounts. So the first amount is $19.26 to commemorate the year we were built, $45 to honor the years of JADO service, $91 for how old the theater is, and $250 for the amount of light bulbs on the Duchess. The website is ilgive.org, and I encourage you to share this opportunity with your philanthropic friends via email and Facebook. Encourage them to give. And that's it.
Any questions or comments for Val?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I forgot one more thing. I have to thank the volunteer organization for 2 things. First of all the decorating that they did. It was incredible because the tree as you're walking down the esplanade is theirs, and all the wreaths and everything else. And also, I can mention,
Yes.
and also they purchased a new projector, which for those of you that may have attended some of the holiday movies last year and thought that they were in black and white, they really weren't. It's because we had a crummy projector. And now, for this year, we are going to have a new projector, and it is, we will, Leanne. And it's really incredible. They showed one of those Avenger-type movies with all that, and it was like they were there in the theater. And so now Jack is working on finding a sponsor, right, Jack?
That's what I'm told.
That's for a monthly movie series, and then a monthly senior movie where they could have lunch and see a show. So lots of good things happening.
Well, that'll be well accepted. I can't tell you the number of people that say to me, how come we can't get movies in the theater? Why don't we show some movies? You guys get that?
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. So now that's it. Thank you, Leanne, for reminding me.
Did you have anything that came out of the DePaul class that was so exciting that, is worth sharing?
Well, they're very Twitter, Instagram, Snapchatty. I mastered the Spot Hero app to get down there, so I considered my work was done. That's why I say they view the world through some very different set of eyeballs. But we did fix our Google Plus connection because that was broken. They noticed that. That was easy. I just called Brent Motes, our web designer, and he fixed it. But they did have a lot of suggestions, and I'm hoping that when we get the new marketing manager in place, some of their suggestions can be implemented as we move forward. But it was incredible because they give you a new energy for moving forward and the things that can happen.
Val, can you share with the group, I thought it was great yesterday, we learned about the playbill for Hamilton that includes.
Oh, I wish I had it, yes.
That's so
This would be a special thank you to the Heritage Quarter CVB, and we did a little trade, and they had our, that red ad, the Celebrate the Holidays, that's the cling on the front. You've seen it a lot. Well, they put one of those in the November playbill, Jack, November? In the November playbill, and so if you went to see Hamilton in November and you opened up to the cast page, there was our ad on the right hand. So it was very nice. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
So look at us. There you go. Lin-Manuel Miranda may very well be at our next show.
So yesterday when I was down here, Val and actually Kathy and I walked through the rotunda with the decorations and the wreaths and the trees. It was pretty spectacular.
They did an amazing
And I did notice a lot of names who contributed on those wreaths are sitting in this room, so thank you for that. I've also asked Val, Val sends out this Val's View every Friday afternoon, somewhere around mid-afternoon or later. I've asked her to include you, David,
Yeah,
Lucky
thank
you too, lucky you
Yeah.
too.
Great.
on that email.
We're in the club.
Yeah, you are. I'm gonna have to start charging, this is gonna be a subscription thing pretty soon.
Now, from time to time, Val will ask us to respond to certain things. And I'd like to ask the board to be a little bit more responsive in the future. I'd like to think that by Monday we can respond, right, Tom?
We cannot.
Why not?
David,
One person,
explain
Can
to
one
them.
person
can one
respond?
person respond to
One
Val?
person
We
respond.
can respond to Val.
You can respond to Val, yeah.
That's-
You can't respond as a group.
Yeah, just
Oh,
respond to her.
I
For all
don't care
that
what
work.
he thinks, don't send it to me, I don't care what he thinks.
Yeah.
Tom, you haven't figured that
I
out?
tell her what I think. Don't worry.
No, from time to time she does, and rather than have her chase us, we need to be a little bit more responsive and try and, 48 hours, I think that's reasonable, by Monday or so. Anyway, that's it for me. Joe, you have any comments on your
No,
meeting yesterday?
we had a good meeting yesterday, just continuing to talk about issues and ways we can make things run a little bit more smoothly here. I think we've covered a lot of it already, so it was great and informative. The only thing I wanted to follow up on with Councilman Munder, and if you heard anything else about, came up at our meeting yesterday, the city perhaps lending us a hand with some support personnel for writing RFPs or RFQs, or if you've heard anything about that.
I thought you were going to talk to either Ken Mihalich,
Okay,
who had mentioned that he would try to assign somebody to Marty to help out.
we had a memory lapse as to who said what to whom about what. So, okay,
Stay
Thank
on
you,
it.
Pat.
We'll
He may
figure it out.
move you to someone else, because he was in more of an HR position up until a couple weeks ago. So Ken is out of that, but it would come through Marty's approval.
okay. I'll send it to both. Thank you.
27.
Okay, any other comments before I ask for public comments? Any more? Okay, public comments? Anyone else? Tom?
Just a quick comment, we were here Monday for the Brian Setzer, and some of the positive change have been made at the bar. You're now noticed that you're serving Blue Moon, which most of the patrons look like they had. Guinness, 16 ounces, the credit card machines, so it's nice to see those changes coming forth, but I'm sure there's more in the works, but I just wanted to let you know that it looked like it was well received.
Thank you. Carol?
Val, I couldn't quite get that website that you said.
Oh, it's ilgive.org. And then that'll ask you who you're looking for, and if you type in Rialto, our page will come up.
Okay, thank you.
And you can give more, if those amounts seem too little for your pocketbook, you can put as many zeros in as you'd like. After a number, I mean.
Yeah.
Ron?
I just wanted to say that coming to the meeting, since you guys were all brought on every week, there's been a lot of positive change. You did a very good job despite a lot of people throwing stones at your efforts. And I think Monday was a good indication of where you've come to. There was a good positive vibe there. We sat next to a couple that it was their first time here, and they were making references to other theaters and how much they'd much rather come here than go to the other, more room, better washroom areas, the beauty of the Rialto in general. So I just wanted to share that with you.
It's amazing too that, we've gone to several shows this year, and every time we do, when we're walking in, there's people on the outside taking photos all over the place. Inside, any place that they can go, they're always taking photos. And for me personally, every time I come in the place, I see something new, something I didn't see before.
I think that happens outside too.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm downtown, there's people outside taking pictures, and that you can see are travelers literally from around the world.
Right.
So Saturday evening, the Chamber event here honoring the Darcy family, and there were a number of us at that event. But the Darcy family had 49 family members at that event, so obviously they had some younger kids. And I did notice them,
Everybody's looking around.
just in awe.
We kept them off the chandelier.
Thank you.
And the other comment I heard was, they had the cocktail party up on the stage, and I heard a number of people say, I've never turned
Right.
and looked out.
Yep.
Never had that opportunity to look out. People are, even people who've been here for a long time, have lived here all their life. Anyway, it was a great event, a great opportunity to show the theater off, and it was well attended.
How many people attended that, do you
I
think?
think it was
340.
340. And there was a waiting list.
And there was a waiting list. It was capped at 340.
Wonderful.
Any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike?
This is mostly geared toward Val, but everyone else as well. I deal with a lot of different millennials, unfortunately. It is amazing. I'm 2 generations past the millennials. It is amazing how quickly you can disseminate information with what they probably put in this proposal. And I hope you look at it closely moving forward, because it is so much faster than anything we ever did. There are so many things out there that I have no clue about, and I'm not that far away. So for other people to look at it, it goes quickly. Yeah.
For those of you who want to read up more on this, there's a book out called capital I, Gen, for the I generation. It's a great book. I just finished reading it. And I got lost, but anyway. Okay, anything else? Comments from the board members? Comments from the public?
One other comment, it's not just the patrons who are in awe of the theater, it's the performers and the people who come with them.
I couldn't agree more.
So,
Great.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Johnny, I didn't hear you.